Big man, Jeff Nadu off the 2 for 2 weekend. You had Rock Chalk. You had North Carolina. I am curious, what do you have coming up here in the title game?
Yeah, I tell you, I went back and forth on the side. I think it's difficult. I mean, I like both teams a lot. I enjoy both these offenses. We have to just kind of recap and look at what Kansas though was able to do to Villanova. I mean, that was impressive. Villanova is a good defensive team. They play with literally no pace at all, and Kansas still got to 80. It's pretty incredible, quite honestly. Um, but you look at North Carolina. I thought at times watching that game, man, this pace is awesome. I mean, this is terrific, up and down. The one concern I have with Kansas, and I kind of outlined this multiple times because it's really starting to get frustrating and annoying. Kansas's defensive rebounding continues to be problematic. They weren't able to ever get to a loose ball, and that's what makes it scary about how good they were in that game. I went back and forth. I think it's a really tough side because, as I said, I bet both these teams, but I squared in, and I know the numbers come down a little bit. I know it's a title game. I know it's one of those, well, every game's good, every possession's important. Look, on both sides, you have kids up and down that can score the basketball, from Baycott to Love to Davis to Baji to Braun to McCormick. I mean, there's just offense everywhere in this game. And look, I get sharp money's on the under, but look, sharps lose. I'm going to trust my handicapping here and play the over. Numbers at 151.5 at this point on BetUS. I'm going over. I feel like this is a first to high 70s wins. I look at how both these offenses want to get their chicken, and they're going to be able to score here. I mean, both these defenses are good. They're not great. I think this really just, when we look at the Nets over the weekend, I think Matt could agree. Thought the rims were a little soft. A lot was going in. These teams can really snipe from three. And look, I'm not going to be one of those guys who says, well, Caleb Love can't shoot like this forever. Well, he's shooting like it now. And I'm going to bang on the fact that these two just continue to shoot the ball the way they did. Up and down basketball, a lot of pace here. A lot of offensive rebounds. I mentioned the defensive rebounding issues for for Kansas. Carolina is very good on the glass. I think the Baycott-McCormick matchup is interesting, especially with Baycott's health. He's a tough kid. He'll play hard. McCormick was terrific. Matt called that the other day. I bet it myself. It was awesome. Manick's a problem. Leaky Black was hitting shots. I just don't think we see a ton of defense here. I think this is a high-quality, efficient offensive game. Over, over, over.
All right. So he is going to take the overplay. And by the way, both games flew past the over. The North Carolina Duke game especially, but I mean, even Kansas Villanova easily got to the over with the way that Kansas shot the ball. Mid-major, Matt, your thoughts here and an official play from you as well.
So this is something I talked about when the Final Four was first out, way back before we even got to these games. I said, look, I'm playing the first half of the Kansas Villanova winner against the Carolina Duke winner. Carolina just won their Super Bowl, and I'm sure there's probably some people in their fan base who would actually appreciate the win over Duke more than the championship. They'd be nuts because, of course, the championship means more. But you watch the emotion of Carolina coming off the court, the crying that was there. Hubert Davis was emotional, and they beat Duke. They beat their rival. This is not like they beat Memphis or some sort of random team. Didn't mean to pick on Memphis there or anything, but
Please.
They beat a team that they want to beat every year, and now they have to turn around less than 48 hours later. You've got Armando Bacot, who's probably not 100%. Everybody's saying the right things, but the ankle's going to bother him. You noticed a little bit that Brady Manick's ankle was, or at least he was hobbled a little bit towards the end of the game, and I just don't know how Carolina is going to get there, at least in the first half. I think that this is a Kansas team that kind of dispatched Villanova. Yeah, there were some moments where it was down to 6 or 7, but this was an easy win for them. They're a deeper team. They can go to a couple of other guys, whereas Carolina, if Bacot doesn't get hurt, they don't play anybody in the second half off the bench. This is a team that just goes with an iron 6 or 7. And I just think that the emotions here, I understand it's the championship game. People are like, wait a second, of course they're going to be focused. I just don't know if they can be here. And I would be very surprised. I almost would take the Kansas race to 10 first. I would almost wish I could take a Kansas first 10 minutes type of bet. But what I'm taking here is Kansas -2 in the first half. I think the Jayhawks come out focused. I think they're ready. I think they can punch him in the mouth. We just saw what they did to Villanova in the first half. And I think what I'm going to ultimately do here is hope that Kansas is up like 8-10 at halftime, or even at some point in the first half, and jump in on Carolina with the live line here, because I think Carolina is going to make this thing interesting, but it's got to be hard for them to overcome everything they just won for a championship game against a Kansas team that's playing great basketball right now. So give me Kansas in the first half. Give me Carolina live if it's like 8 or 10, because I think Carolina's going to make this interesting, but they're going to have to overcome some early jitters and some over excitement from the biggest win in their program history right now.
I think it's a very valid point. We've been joking for a couple of days. Everywhere you walked in the French Quarter after that game, we retired Coach K. We ended it. And so you wonder, is that their season? I mean, this is a national title game. Jeff, what is your thought here on that?
I mean, I get what you're hearing from fans. I mean, that's surely. I heard it myself, even where I'm at. But I don't know, man. I mean, this Carolina team's built different, man. Look, I know it's a quick turnaround, but all due respect, and I think Matt would agree wholeheartedly. And beating North Carolina is great, but it's the national title game. I just don't think. I mean, you got to be quick to turn it around. And how many times have we heard with this Carolina team? Oh, they're not going to shoot that great. They're not going to be ready. They just answer the call every time. I heard it against UCLA. Can they beat a team? Can they beat? The Baylor. Oh, they blew a big lead. St. Peter's. Oh, here comes St. Peter. They just keep taking care of the business. But look, if I had to play a side, I would agree with Matt in a way. I feel like he kind of long-term, full game leads Carolina. I do as well. I mean, I bet this team the other night. I bet on them before. I bet both these teams. I like them both. That's why it's hard for me. I look at both and I say, what do I think both these teams are going to do? I see competent, efficient offense because, again, sometimes when you have the high quality amount of players that you have here, look at the games the other night. Both went over. Sometimes you just have to settle. Like, I do this a lot in the Champions League in soccer. Sometimes when you have two sides, like a PSG and a Barcelona, you just have so much offensive talent going forward that, generally you're going to get goals. That's just how it goes. And it's the same thing here. It's just efficiency on both sides. What's crazy about Carolina, guys, and I totally forgot about this guy, but they haven't had Dawson Garcia since January 22nd. If they had him and they still got to the title game, Garcia was regarded as a top-level front court player for them. He hasn't played. It's crazy how good both these teams have been. But I just look at the efficiency. I'm going to play the over. But I think I agree with Matt. If you're going to ask me about side, I'm going to definitely take Carolina game-wise if I had to play it.
Okay, let's lock both of you guys in. Again, the big man wants points. We saw that Saturday. So he's going over the total on BetUS. It's been around 151.5 or 152. He likes the over. Mid-major Matt's going to make a first-half line play with Kansas minus the 2. And it's interesting, again, they ran away and hid from Villanova at the beginning of that game. I can just tell you in the arena, for all the talk about sight lines and about, shooting backgrounds, I mean, Abaji had no problem whatsoever. Made his first 4 3-pointers. I think they made 7 of their first 8 or 7 of their first 9. They were lighting it up. Lots and lots of offense. So there are the official plays from the handicappers. Now, obviously, there's so much else to talk about in this game, and we'll get to that.